Hi dear friends, how are you all doing today? How is your heart? I am filming this on Thursday, February 24th, 2022. I feel like it's really important to say the date of when I'm filming because I work with the energies of the day, I work with the current transits, but this video specifically is about the new moon in Pisces that is happening on March 2nd at 12 degrees of Pisces at 11:35 a.m. Eastern Time. There's a lot to talk about. So if you just want to skip to your rising sign, the timestamps are always below in the description box, and I try to remember to pin it to my comments. But I feel like it's important to understand the other things that are happening and the energies leading up to the new moon, because moon phases and lunations don't happen in a vacuum. There's other things that are happening in the sky, and the energies kind of build up to these lunations. And I feel like it's really important because I believe in the Hermetic principle of as within, so without, as above, so below. We are all cosmically connected to each other, the earth and the cosmos. So, but I understand everyone wants to just know about themselves, and that's totally okay too. Before I get into it though, I do have a few announcements. Well, I've been working on my website, laurakchung.com, because for those of you who don't know, I had a blog for 10 years, Kumi Dreams, and I felt like she needed a little revamp with my own name, and I've been working on her for a hot minute. I've put her on the back burner because I was writing the book, and then I started working on it again because I want to start re-engaging with my newsletter and building content there, and slowly but surely starting to divest all of my time on Instagram. And the reasons that I will talk about it will be in another video. I actually wanted to film this video first before I filmed the other video that I really had in mind, which is the Mars and Venus cycle in conjunction with the North Node being in Taurus and the South Node being in Scorpio. And this is something that I talked about a lot last year. So thank you all for being so patient. For those of you who are like, where is that video, Laura Chung? But don't worry, we have 18 months left of the North Node in Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio. So these are energies that we are going to be playing with for a little while. So as I'm filming this, overnight here in the United States, I'm based in New York, Russia invaded Ukraine, and shit is real. Shit is starting to move forward. And I don't really talk about this kind of astrology or this kind of geopolitical commentary on my platforms because I'm not a geopolitical expert. I refer to other people, journalists, reporters, people who understand what's going on in these countries. And also, I don't really focus on mundane astrology. I focus on personal astrology, how these transits affect you personally. But obviously, what happens at the mundane level, what happens at the collective level, affects us all and affects how we're going to move through life and how we're going to experience life. So I just send all of my prayers and my healing and everything to the people of Ukraine and everybody else in the world right now who is suffering, because this is not just happening in Ukraine. This is happening all over the world. This is a major shift in powers, as we know, with Pluto in Capricorn at its last degrees, the last stages of capitalism, and the empires falling and trying to hold on to their own power and trying to reabsorb their lands and powers. And it's just the powers that be trying to hold on to their control, which is very Plutonian energy. So today I felt like a little heavy-hearted. I felt like, I don't know, I just felt the collective fear and also feeling of hopelessness. While this new moon feels a little bit more optimistic to me personally, I feel like these are the times when we can really move into Piscean energy, which is spirituality, compassion, art and healing. And I feel like those are the times when we really need to step into the highest form, the highest expression of Piscean energy, and not the shadow, low vibrational form of Piscean energy, which is escapism, bypassing, addiction. So I just wanted to say that first. I wanted to film the first part of this video because, as you know, the struggle is real with me getting all through 12 signs of the zodiac when I give the channeled messages, because it takes out so much energy. So I at least wanted to film this part first. And that's the feeling that I'm feeling right now, is this collective fear and the unknown and uncertainty. And what I said in my Instagram stories this morning, which I felt very, very like angry about everything that's going on, and also sad for those innocent people, is that there are more people doing good in this world and people who don't want war to happen than there are the evil people. That's, evil people. There are more people who want peace. There are more people who want love. Then there are people who want it. So knowing that, and knowing that there's people who care, and that there's people who want to do good, and people who are turning to spirituality and healing, we have to lean on that when there's times of uncertainty and the unknown. And this is the kind of energy that a lot of astrologers have been talking about, and my own teachers and my own the people that I work with have been saying this, and this has been prophesized for many, many thousands of years in ancient texts as well, that we are going through a shift in the collective right now, and none of us really know what that's going to entail. And the most we can do when we don't have control over our future is to be present in the moment and to make space for all of the feelings that we're going through, and also lean on each other, lean on community. With that being said, I host bi-monthly moon circles. We get together, we share our feelings, we do some rituals, we release, we set intentions, and they're around the new and the full moon. So we actually have one on March 2nd, and they're usually 7 p.m. Eastern time, which tends to work out for all of the time zones. So if you're interested in community and learning about astrology and learning about energy and all the things that I practice and learn and teach, then you're more than welcome to join us there. I'm also teaching Reiki 1 next weekend, March 5th and 6th, and Reiki 2 the weekend of April 9th and 10th, which I was so excited to grab that date because it's right before the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction in Pisces, which happens. I think the last time that happened was 1855. So this isn't an alignment that happens very often. So I'm so glad to be teaching Reiki 2 at that time. And then if you happen to watch this before February 27th, my Reiki students and I are holding a Reiki circle for the collective healing at 10 a.m. Eastern time. I will link everything down in the show notes so that you can participate. And everything that I offer, everything that you see me wearing and drinking, I link everything down below. I am ultimately here, obviously I get some form of exchange from it, but to help everybody feel more grounded. And also with all of my modalities that I teach, understanding astrology and understanding what's going on, we absorb that at an intellectual level, at the mind. We look at the stars and we look up, right? But how we experience life is through embodiment, through how we are able to take action, how we are able to move through life. And so that's where I also feel like I can be of assistance, because, okay, so there's a new moon, so what? Now what? What do we do with that? What do we do with these energies? And ultimately, I believe energy is not good or bad. It's not out to get us, but the energies are there for us to flow with and also to work with. It's not to resist. It's not to deny or bypass. And I really consider Pisces to be one of those energies where it is an ebb and flow. Like the tide comes in, the tide comes back. So, oh, my nose is itchy already. So I just wanted to share a couple of the astrological alignments in and around this new moon in Pisces. Like I mentioned, the moon and the sun will be conjunct at 12 degrees of Pisces. Somebody asked me, like she didn't quite understand, like we have a new moon and we have a full moon, but like what is the signs all about? So astrology and astronomy go hand in hand, because astronomy talks about the ecliptical aspects, the geometry between planets. So as we travel through the solar system around the sun, we have specific alignments with the planets, like conjunctions, oppositions, and squares, and sextiles, and trines. So a new moon is when the moon is in between the earth and the sun. And that's why you can't see the moon, because it's blocking the sun's rays. And then the full moon is when the earth is in between the sun and the moon. And so we see the moon very clearly because the sun is reflecting its light onto the moon. Now, astrologically, it's an ancient system, an ancient practice that dates back like way, way ancient times. It's not something new, where each sign of the zodiac has a specific energy that gives flavor to the moon and the energies of the planets. So this new moon in Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's all about the hidden realms, the dream realms. It could talk about addiction and releasing self-sabotaging behaviors, things that we keep hidden. It's the places in our lives that are hidden but are there, like libraries, prisons, hospitals. It's places where we don't naturally see unless like you intentionally go into them, and like ashrams and retreat centers. So having a new moon is all about setting your intentions and really planting the seed. It's not a time where you're necessarily going to take action steps. That kind of happens in the first quarter moon, where you take concrete steps towards your dreams. But during this phase is when you like really hold in your energy and you really think about, okay, what is it that I want to create? What is it that I want to plant the seed on? And so you want to look at, I use the whole sign house system in tropical Western astrology. You want to look at what house, and if you don't, that's completely fine. If you use Placidus, that's completely fine. You want to look at what house your Pisces house is, and you want to see if you have any planets in and around 12 degrees. And you want to see if you have any planets in and around 12 degrees of Pisces, Virgo, which is the opposite sign, Sagittarius, and Gemini, because Gemini and Sagittarius will be square to this new moon. Okay, great. So just before this new moon, or around this new moon, Mercury will be conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. And to me, that means like some kind of communication, some information that you've been kind of waiting on since the retrograde, since Mercury went out of its shadow period, and now with Saturn, it's like, hello, I'm here. And in Aquarius, it could mean you get an email, or you hear something on social media, or some kind of news, right? Mars and Venus and Pluto will all be together at 27 degrees of Capricorn. And I find this configuration really interesting because these planets all being conjunct are trine to the North Node in Taurus. So clearly what's happening now is fated. It's gonna determine our destiny 20 years from now, even possibly longer than that. But whatever happens in and around this time, like starting now, because Venus and Mars have been traveling together in Capricorn, moving closer and closer to Capricorn. And obviously we had our first hit of our USA Pluto return on February 20th. And I have a great video about the USA Pluto return and also Eris in Aries from the Werk podcast. And The astrologer's name is Divine Harmony, and everybody loved that episode because it gave an astrological explanation for why everything's happening the way that they are. And so I'll try to remember, I'll write myself a note to link that episode down below so you can watch it. And so that's kind of like happening behind the scenes, right? Whatever happens to one country affects us all because we are all interconnected. Like I said in the beginning, we are all part of each other. We're all a part of a collective. We are all part of this earth and the cosmos. So even though this is happening in Ukraine, because I saw on so many social media, TikToks and Instagrams, people, and there are probably Americans, not to like shame my own people, but like, it's like, because we have never had war on our own soil, like I think a lot of Americans, they just don't understand what that entails, right? So a lot of them were saying like, how does this affect us? It of course affects us. Like anything that happens to a group of people happens to us. And also we're gonna get involved if it's regarding Russia or any world power. Like, trust me, we're gonna get involved. So I'm just curious to see how once Mars, because Mars is exalted in Capricorn, once Mars hits Pluto, once Venus hits Pluto, what that's gonna mean for the USA Pluto return. And obviously this is like a longer story because Pluto will enter Aquarius, I think in 2025 or something like that. But it's just interesting to see and pay attention to the energies and the players that are happening now. How does this affect us in the individual level? Well, I don't know about you, but I'm super sensitive to energy. I'm hypersensitive. I'm empathic. I'll watch a video of like a dog and I'll start to cry. And so because I'm so attuned to energy and like the collective, it has made me feel a certain way. It has made me feel ungrounded. It has made me feel sad. It has made me feel like there's no hope. But then I remember my spiritual practices. I remember my grounding techniques. I remember my Reiki practice and the things that make me feel good so that I can show up and help guide people. And also, help people who feel like they don't know what to do or they don't have the tools to. So I find it interesting too that like whenever Mars hits like one of these planets like Pluto or Saturn or Jupiter, Mars is like the trigger, it's the catalyst. But with Venus being there, Venus to me would make it seem like Venus brings a little bit more sweetness, it softens it. So I'm really curious to see how that plays out. But it makes me a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. And with Mercury and Saturn being there in Aquarius, like that's like usually a combination for a cyber attack. I don't like to say these things out loud because I don't want to like, create a spell, right? Like I really believe what you say matters, but also I want to make people aware of things because also we have to have discernment and also be prepared, right? We can't just live in la la land all the time. We have to stay grounded with our feet firmly planted into the floor, with our head up into the clouds. That's like very Pisces too. Pisces rules the feet. So we must stay grounded. We must stay in our bodies. We must find ways in which we feel safe, but also tapping into the dream realm so that we can create new things, new ways of moving forward. Because you know what? This is 2022 and war is just not the answer. Like, it just never works out for anybody, ever, in any situation. And I think we're all tired of this bullshit where these leaders just like project their trauma onto collective people. And like, meanwhile, the civilians are the ones who suffer the most. And this is year 3 into the pandemonium. And, Black lives are still fighting for their lives to matter. Asian women in New York City are getting targeted. Climate change, trans children are being targeted in Texas. Women don't have rights to their bodies. Like all this shit is happening all at once because we're having a revolutionary change in the collective. So it's important for you as an individual to stay grounded, have your head be clear. Things could get a little foggy with Jupiter and Neptune coming together, because that's like a recipe for disassociation and disengagement. Like, my reality is too much for me. Like, I'm gonna take some psychedelics and blast off into the astral realm. And I'm not saying not do that. I'm just saying be very cautious and careful, because what is needed is spiritual people right now engaging in politics, engaging in our systems, because the only ways that our system will change is if people like us, the awakened ones, the ones who have a higher consciousness, who are led from the heart, we infiltrate these systems and help rebuild them. That's Pluto and Capricorn. And I like to think of this metaphor as like the fishbowl, right? We're all swimming in this fishbowl, and sometimes we don't know, like, everything is colonized and everything has been moved through white-bodied hands, and we all live under trauma. So sometimes we have to simultaneously live in the current paradigm while we're rebuilding it, because if you just shatter the jar, shatter the fishbowl, then we're all just floating around without a container. We need that container, which is Capricorn energy. We need a container for us to have structure, for us to be able to be creative and flow. But at the same time, we need to simultaneously heal and rebuild for the new future. Okay, so do I like this new moon? I actually really like this new moon. I think it's super positive. It's conjunct Jupiter. So the ruler of this new moon is Jupiter, and Jupiter is in its home sign of Pisces right now. So your Piscean house is getting this like new start. It's like, spring is coming. So I feel like whatever you want to create in your life, really tap into your dreams, really envision, really visualize like what it is that you want to create for yourself, and send out loving energy to yourself, your family, your collective, your community. Healing practices, sound healing could be really beneficial at this time. Getting into spiritual circles, healing circles, crying, listening to music, doing some kind of like artistic endeavor will really help channel those energies for us to create something new for the collective. So if that was my one piece of advice, that's how I would use this new moon in Pisces. So I hope that all of you stay safe and stay grounded, and I'm sending you so much love. And without further ado, here are the rising signs. Hi friends, today is February 25th, 2022. So as I mentioned in part 1, I was gonna film this part the next day, and I'm so glad that I did, because I have a lot more energy and I feel a lot more clear. And I kind of want to walk you through the process in which I channel, just in case any of you are curious, but also to help me tap into your energy. The reason why this takes out so much of my energy is because I tune into your energy, obviously with permission, right? If you don't want these messages, please click away. I always say that this is a co-creative process where I tune into your energies and see what comes up. It could sometimes just be like surrender, sometimes it's release, sometimes you just never know until you get in there. So first I just want to clear the air, and this Tibetan bowl is for our third eye, our intuition. Okay. This is a little bit of copal that I got from Mexico. Just clearing the space. And if you have tea, or if you have coffee, or I have cacao here in this cup, and I haven't drank it yet because I wanted to specifically show you the process in which I use cacao. The code, you get 15% off if you use my code. It's Awaken. And I think I linked the interview with Florencia Friedman. She's one of the co-founders of Cacao Laboratory, my discussion with her on the last video and why I like to use cacao, but you could use any kind of herb. Sometimes I also use mugwort, but it really is whatever plant calls to you and your energy. I personally love working with cacao when I channel because I channel from my heart space, and if you want me to share more about my channeling process, I can do a separate video about that. But I'm attuned to Reiki, and I channel through my heart space, which is where I find the messages to be more clear, obviously with my third eye as well. And it's a heart medicine, and it also helps me to feel really grounded. It helps me to feel opened up, but in a grounded way, because it's a fruit and it's from a tree. So I find that this plant medicine helps me to stay grounded, but also expand in a way where I can feel grounded, but also channel. And listen, like, you don't need to use cacao to do that, but it's just a way that I like to do it. So if you are curious about cacao, I will link everything in the description box below, and you can use my code to try it. But this is the prayer that I like to say before I drink my cacao, when I set my intention. So you can just close your eyes now so you could open up your energy to me. Or if you do have cacao, you can pause the video and you can go make it, and then press play. Or if you just have tea or coffee or anything, any of your favorite drinks. Okay, so place your hands around your cup and just close your eyes. We're gonna take a deep inhale through the nose. Inhale here. Exhale out through the mouth. I give thanks to the heart of the sky. Thank you to the moon and the sun, the stars and the planets, for the energetic shift that I've been asking for. Thank you to the winds that bring change. Thank you to my spirit guides, angels and archangels from the highest realms, to give me the messages that is for the good of all involved. Thank you to the birds for being the messengers, and for all the signs and synchronicities that are guiding me on my path. Thank you. Thank you to the heart of the earth, Mother Gaia. Thank you to the trees, which roots ground me. Thank you to the people of this land, the Lenape people who have been the keepers of this land, the guardians, for generations and generations. Thank you to my ancient ancestors whose blood runs through my veins. Thank you to my plant allies, cacao, mugwort, blue lotus, rose. Thank you to all the animal allies that show up just when I need the right messages. Thank you so much to all of the guardians and the keepers of these lands, the indigenous peoples. Thank you. Thank you to the heart of the waters, Pisces season. Thank you for washing away, purifying, and clarifying what no longer serves us. Thank you for allowing us to be rebirthed in the womb of the mother. Thank you to the oceans, the lakes, and the streams. Thank you so much for the ebb and flow of life. For every ebb, I am reminded that the true treasure is within, and that there's the ultimate flow of life. Thank you to the creativity and the passions that drive me. Thank you. Thank you to the heart of the fire. Thank you for the transmutation of all the toxins, the limiting beliefs and the fears that no longer serve me. Thank you for allowing me to rise above my own ashes and take flight. Thank you to spirit, the fire, the will, the confidence to live in my path. Thank you to all four winds that I breathe, all four directions, the north, the south, the east, and the west. Thank you to my heart. Thank you to my higher self. Thank you to my ancestors. Thank you to my parents. Thank you to my community. Thank you. My intention for today is to channel the messages for the Awaken and Align community and anybody watching this YouTube channel right now for the new moon in Pisces. Thank you, and so it is. Okay, you can slowly open your eyes. So that's kind of the little invocation that I do before I actually get on the video, but I just wanted to share it with you here. So let's get into it. Let's take a drink first. Cheers. We're going to start with Pisces because Pisces is always last. And since this is a new moon in Pisces, I wanted to start with Pisces first. So here we go. Wow, Pisces rising, how y'all doing? You have your ruler Jupiter in your first house, and you got the new moon, the sun and the moon, and Neptune there. So this is like a sacred quest for your identity and how you move through this world, your embodiment. So your new moon intention with Jupiter being there is how can you expand your presence? How can you expand your understanding of yourself? And yeah, just show up in a bigger way, whatever way that means. You have Saturn currently transiting your 12th house, your authentic quest for spirituality. And then you have Pluto and Pluto, Venus, and Mars in your 11th house of community. One thing that I forgot to say in the main group's message was that all of the planets are in between the nodes. So the south node is in Scorpio and the north node is in Taurus, and all the transiting planets are in between Capricorn and Pisces right now. You know, we have Uranus in Taurus, but most of the cluster of planets are in between Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So for you, it's the 10th, 11th, it's the 11th, 12th, and 1st house. So this is a lot about how you show up, your desires, your dreams, community, your spirituality, and also how you show up and how you feel present in this reality. Pisces is ruled by the feet, so you really want to make sure that you ground yourself at this time, and feel very, very grounded, which I think for everybody during Pisces season is like very important, but for you especially. So today I'm using the Celestial, I'm looking this way because the box is there, the Celestial Bodies deck. It's one of my new decks and I'm obsessed with it. And I'm just gonna look at, I'm gonna divine the messages that come through and see. Let's see. I had a question even before I pressed play and now it's like escaped my mind. Because it's hard to come up with one question that relates to everybody because everybody has Pisces in a different area of their chart. So maybe I just keep it open and see what comes through. Okay, let's take another sip here. Okay, Spirit. What is the most important thing that Pisces risings need to know at this new moon in Pisces? What is the most important thing that Pisces risings need to know at this time? Wow, perfect. Okay. So the first card we have is the Sun. I mean, the Sun is in Pisces. Yeah, this is exactly what I was saying, which is shining brightly. The Sun is shining in your ascendant, in your first house. So whenever we have the Sun transiting our first house, it's always about how we perceive ourselves and how we show up to our embodiment. This is the thing that I learned about the difference between sun, moon, and rising signs. The time of our birth, our rising sign, the rising sign changes every 2 hours, which gives us a more accurate understanding of how we physically experience life. Because we experience life in this earth, in this 3D reality, through the physical realm. And so your rising sign shows you in which area of your life the transits and the planetary movements are going to affect you in your life. And so whenever, and to keep going on with that, the moon changes signs every 2.5 days and the sun changes signs every 30 days. So looking at just your sun sign can give you an idea, but it's the more you get granular about it, like understanding your moon as well and your rising sign, if you can watch all three, it gives you a bigger picture of how you're meant to move through this transit given the energies that are in the sky at the time. So I've learned that our ascendant shows us like what area of our life and how we experience it. Our sun is more of our outward expression, and then the moon is our emotions and our intimate life. So the sun, whenever it transits our ascendant, it's very significant because it gives us energy, it gives us life force energy, it gives us a sense of like being seen. It's almost like a solar return in a way, because whenever the sun comes back to the position of our sun, and maybe some of you have a sun in Pisces and your ascendant is in Pisces, which means that your sun is in your first house. So this is a time to shine, and this is a time to feel energized. The second card is a conjunction, which is basically a new moon. A conjunction is a moon and sun together in a sign. Great. And then we have 11. Wow, this looks like the tree of life, the Sephira. Okay, 11 to me is all about alignment. The degrees of this new moon is 12, which breaks down to a 3, which is a Jupiterian number, and Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. So this is a time to really be in alignment with yourself, with the universe, with your mind, body, and your spirit, your mind, your thoughts, your beliefs, your feelings, and the actions you take at this time. Because these are conjunctions is like sharing energy. So if we're talking about the new moon, the sun and the moon share its energies and it becomes one. And since it's in Pisces, as if you watch the beginning, is all about spirituality and healing, creativity, music. It's the ocean. It's releasing and really, really understanding and sitting with everything that you've gone through and everything that you've been going through. And I just want to read these little circles. The first is the crown, obviously, and then going down is knowledge, beauty, foundation, and kingdom. And at the bottom is kingdom, which looks like the earth. Then we have understanding, strength, splendor, victory, mercy, and wisdom. And they all flow into each other. So I think this is really a message of Pisces risings to find the flow. Find what's working for you. Release what's not working for you. Look at your life, sitting with what is, being in the here and now, which I think is a message for just all of us in general, not just Pisces rising, but sitting with the now, sitting with what your life, and really seeing what's shining, like what's going right, and seeing like there are things in your life that might have to be released. There are things that might have to be let go of, obviously. And I feel like you're in a time right now where you're becoming in more alignment. I mean, this is a card that doesn't come out very often for me personally. 11 is a very spiritual number. It's a very high order number. People with 11 life path numbers didn't come here to fuck around. Like, they came here to be a spiritual leader. Okay, Pisces rising, I hope you have a beautiful new moon. This is your season. Shine, and I love you so much. Bye. Hi, Aquarius rising. This new moon is happening in your second house of resources, value, confidence, money. And I really look at this house as within, so without. It's a Taurus house. And what I mean by that is the more you can invest in yourself, invest in your value, invest in your confidence, invest in your worth, that will be matched back to you. More specifically, the 8th house, because the 2nd and the 8th are all about energetic exchange. So I'm using the Celestial Bodies deck, which is like my fucking favorite. But you have Saturn transiting your 1st house. And I think a lot of Aquarius risings, and I think I've said this a couple months now, is you've had to get really serious. You've had to really get pretty granular about what it is that you're doing, which is not comfortable for Aquarians, because Aquarians to me are very similar to Pisces energy in the fact that you're so expanded and it's like a multiple tabs open kind of situation where you're like, what about this? What about this? What about this? But Aquarius is an air sign which rules the mind and is very fixed. So Saturn being there is like, Saturn is like asking you to contract a little bit. It's asking you to get serious. It's asking you to put down some foundations. And, you know, Pluto's in your 12th house. So it's a lot of deep transformation that is not seen at the surface. It's all hidden. It's a lot of karmic transformations. And to me, when I see that, when I see Pluto in the 12th with Capricorn and Aquarius risings, a lot of Aquarius risings I feel are going through like some kind of like ancestral lineage, like you are the chain breakers of your ancestors. Like whether your ancestors were the oppressed or oppressees, either way, we're all here to break the chains of our ancestors. And I feel like a lot of Aquarius risings are on that path right now. But what I have to say about Aquarius risings, which I've said in many, many videos, is that, oh, my nose is so itchy, sorry. That my nose itches when I channel. Is that you're the ones that are leading all of us. A lot of Aquarians, and I don't say that to like pressure you or anything, but you are just so forward thinking and your mind is like already in the future timeline, and that's why you guide us and what to do in this timeline. But I think because Saturn is there and Saturn is rules time, that you've been forced to kind of be in the here and now and be with what is and pay attention to what is before you can look into the future, because Aquarius is so future forward thinking, right? I know that really had nothing to do with, but it does, because what I said to Pisces rising, which I should have said in the beginning for all groups, but I only remembered it for Pisces rising, was that the cluster of planets are in between the nodes. So they're all packed in between very specific areas of our life. So for you, it's the 12th house in Capricorn, the 1st house in your identity, and then the 2nd house, which is all about your worth, your value, your self-confidence. So the more you can release and more you can transform and lean into, like, and I'm sure a lot of things have been revealed to you during, gosh, starting in, I think 2018, when the South Node was transiting your 12th house. Like, I'm sure at that time until now, it's been quite transformational, I will say. Okay, so I kind of left it open. I kind of left it general to see what Spirit specifically wanted to say to my Aquarius risings. I just spit all over this camera. Spirit, what do you want to say to Aquarius risings at this time? I'm going to divine these cards. I love this deck. I interviewed the astrologer who helped write this deck, Christina Farella. I'm obsessed with this deck, and I'm obsessed with the art. I don't think I've ever used it before here. Okay, so we got here Virgo. Yeah, being more detail-oriented, being more earthbound, being more practical, being of service. Leo, which is your opposite sign. And fire, look at that. Wow. Okay, I think a lot of you in the last full moon, I think I might have even said this in the last full moon. The last full moon in Leo, which was happening in your 7th house, was your quest for romance or partnership. But I think I also said this to Leo risings, because I think a lot of Leo risings and Leo and Aquarius risings are having things with other people. Now, when I say partnerships or one-on-one relationships, it doesn't just mean romantic. It can be a business partner. It can be one-on-one friendships, your relationship to a family member. But specifically for Leo risings, I said that for them it was a quest for a romantic, like, one-on-one relationship. And it's interesting that this is coming out for you, because I think in the last full moon it was in your 7th house of one-on-one partnership. But I think what this is saying, and this always comes out during the rising signs, because we can't live in a polarity. We have to integrate both sides. So whenever I'm reading for a specific rising sign, I notice that their opposite sign always comes out, because you're being guided to balance the energies. So if you are way Aquarian and you're very like, you're that type of Aquarius who kind of hides between, you hide in the crowd, and you don't let yourself be seen. This is your like sign to be seen. This is your sign to like, I'm the Leo, right? Because that's your opposite sign. Leos are ruled by the sun. Leos are fixed fire energy. Leos are like, I am a leader. I am being seen. And what's more powerful than a leader who is a heart-centered leader? Now, what is also interesting is that this Pisces new moon is happening in your 2nd house, and the opposite sign of Pisces is Virgo. And Virgo is your 8th house, which is all about intimacy. It's like sharing very intimately with people. It doesn't have to be romantic again, but you take that how it resonates. Being romantic with somebody, but also when I saw this, it was about being grounded into earth, like coming down to earth, focusing on the details, focusing on being of service, focusing on like, because Aquarius is out here, Leo and Virgo are back down here in like the individual moment-to-moment things that you have to do. So I think my best form of advice for an Aquarius rising is to be grounded, be here on earth. Pisces rules the feet on the floor, head in the clouds, and also be open to a partnership. Be open to, if there's Aquarius risings out there who are in a partnership, let that fire out, like spend time with your partner. If you're Aquarius rising that's single, like be open to that. Do stuff that gives you fire, that gives you passion. As you all know, or maybe some of you don't know, so I'll say it here, but it's going to be 18 months of change for fixed sign rising signs, and if you have any significant fixed signs in your astrological chart. So fixed signs are yourself, Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus, because these signs are activating each other. So fixed energy is not something that like you want to necessarily change. You want to change it on your own terms. So you want to change that. You want to change things on your own terms, without spirit, without the universe and the divine having to intervene without you knowing. So I hope that helped, Aquarius risings, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Capricorn rising. Before I begin with your Pisces read, I just want to say the North Node is transiting your 5th house in Taurus. So the more you can do 5th house Taurus things, like the 5th house is all about childhood, children, play, joyfulness, creativity. It's all about romance. And in Taurus, I mean, this is like a really nice energy. Taurus is pleasure, it's eating good food, it's getting out there, having a lot of pleasure. The more you can do that, I feel like this is going to be a fabulous, fabulous transit for you specifically. And I say that because I'm sure a lot of Capricorn risings are going through, like, I mean, it's the last degrees of Pluto in your first house. So Pluto in your first house, and I've gone through this transit a while ago, because I think it was in my 20s when I had Pluto in my first house. And honestly, I don't remember very well because I wasn't attuned to astrology really back then. But it's not an easy transit because you totally become a different person from when you were 15 years ago. So just think back to 2008 to now and just see how much you've changed. It's a slow progression because Pluto moves really slowly, but it's almost out of your first house and it's gonna go into your second house in Aquarius. Let's get to Pisces though. Pisces is your third house, and Pisces, I think in your third house is like an amazing energy. Why did I just talk like that? Well, I think it's because the third house is all about communication. It's social media, it's learning, it's your community. So I think this is a beautiful new moon for you. It's going to be sextiling your fifth house. So it's not like a huge, grand transformative, like sextiles aren't like this life-changing thing, but it's an opportunity, it's support. So whatever you can do in the areas of like pleasure, creativity, sharing and getting together with friends and just building beautiful things, creating beautiful things, eating good food, getting together. I think it's really going to support you and what you're trying to create here, Capricorn rising. So let's see. I'm pulling from the Celestial Bodies deck, which is like an amazing deck. I love it so much. Let's see what Spirit has a message for you. I kept the question very open because I didn't know exactly the question to ask, because this is a general reading, by the way. I forgot to say that disclaimer in the beginning. This is a general reading. You want to make sure that you look at your own natal chart and where you have certain energies in 12 degrees of Pisces and any personal planets around I would say like 12 degrees of the mutable signs, because they're all going to be affected at this time. Okay. Spirit, what do you have to say to, oh my God, I almost wanted to say Pisces rising. What do you want to say to Capricorn rising? Speak to me. Okay, the first one, 6. 6 is the number of harmony. First house, well, Capricorn rising, Capricorn, Pluto in your first house, big transfer. I do feel for a lot of Capricorn risings that you're gonna feel a lot more balanced in the next coming months. Like, okay, and then we have Gemini, which is your 6th house. Okay, so you recently had the North Node in your 6th house for 18 months. And I really feel like for all of the signs, we're integrating what we've learned from the last 18 months to what we're really, really embodying at this time. Because the nodes just shifted in January, so we're still kind of integrating the lessons that we've learned. Your 6th house in Gemini was all about service, being of service, daily habits, your health, coworkers, the immediate surroundings, your environment around you that supports your spirituality and your embodied experience here on Earth. Now, Gemini is curiosity. It's being curious about things. It's asking a lot of questions. It's having beginner's mind. Gemini is the natural ruler of the 3rd house. So I think a lot of Capricorn risings, I think the message here the ask from spirit is to be just curious, just start exploring. The first house, you see this baby here, this like little fetus. It's like you're birthing something new, but that even before it can like sprout out into the earth, you have to truly understand like what it is that gives you passion, what it is that you want to like form with. Okay, so number 6 is 2022 is a 6 year in numerology, and maybe some of you are 6 life path numbers. 6 might be an important number for you in general, and anytime you see that, it's like a sign from spirit that you're on the right track. 6 is also the number of Venus, so it's like it's an energy of coming together. So I think what spirit is asking you is to be curious, ask a lot of questions, start exploring, start learning, start following your passion, start following your creativity. And then what you put down, the intentions that you set on this new moon in Pisces, they could start growing, because what you focus on expands. Where energy flows, where attention goes, energy flows. And when you do that, you start, because this is a number 6. Number 3 is growth. Number 3 is expansion, but we're already at the 6 point. So there's something already here that interests you, that has sparked your curiosity, that has sparked your, like you're already focusing your attention on something, and now spirit is asking you to keep going and keep asking those questions and doing a lot of research. Something has already caught your attention. So I hope that helped, Capricorn rising. And remember that this is going to be a lot easier for you if you choose to move more towards the Taurus energy in your 5th house and release some of the scorpionic things that don't serve you and how you show up in the collective and for your ultimate goals and desires. The 11th house is not only our community and not only our collective and like bigger groups, but it also talks about our desires, our wishes, our long-term goals. And yours is in Scorpio. So whatever limiting beliefs you have or self-sabotaging thought patterns, you really need to do that. Now is the time. Okay, Capricorn rising, see you next time. Bye. Hi, Sagittarius rising. You know you're my people, so I obviously have a soft spot for you. And I also try not to project my own experiences onto you, but I just can't help it. So today we are talking about the new moon in Pisces, which is happening in our 4th house of roots, family, ancestry. And it's a deep psychological house. It's ruled by the moon. So it's like where we feel safe. It's the hidden realm. Something's like being birthed underneath the surface. And that's why I really love being a Sagittarius rising, because it's a mutable fire sign. And when you look at fire, I'm also an Aries sun, so fire energy, I really resonate with fire energy. When you look at fire, it moves with the oxygen, with the air. And so does water, so does Pisces energy. Pisces is a mutable water sign. So we are used to the ebb and flow of life, which I think is very useful, especially during these times of so much change and so much, you know, you almost have to be willing to change course at a moment's notice, at a day-to-day moment. And for most of us, you have your IC here. I have my IC at 29 degrees of Pisces. So it's where we feel comfortable. It's where we feel safe. It's where we feel secure. And I think for the new moon to be here, it's like a renewal of, how do I put this into words? By the way, do any of you have like any aspects, I mean, not aspects, any other planets in Pisces? Because that can also give you an idea of more flavor to this Piscean new moon. Because being in the 4th house, it can be a little bit of a challenge. And I don't say challenge as bad, because this house does square our ascendant. So it can feel at times like something needs to, like, when it's in a square, it's a creative point. Something needs to come through, something needs to be birthed out, which is why I felt like something wants to change, something wants to shift. Now, what that is kind of beneath the surface. It's kind of laying in the ocean, in the deep ocean. And I think when we are able to tap into those realms that are more subtle, we will know what that direction will be. And I think for a lot of Sagittarius risings, for the last 18 months, it's been this like transformation university of like a complete shift of our identity and who we are and how we show up in this world. So now it's like we have to decide, what is that? What is that gonna look like? And for us, it's going to start at our very foundation, our very foundational roots, the fourth house. What makes us feel safe? And for most of us, that's going to be our creativity, our sense of wonder, our dreams, tapping into creativity and music and art to really support our dreams. Like what is something new that we want to be birthed, that is different from what we have created in the past, because the past is done. Like we can't go back to the person that we were a month ago, a year ago, 18 months ago. We need to move forward, but like how we do that is through the dream realm, the astral realm, the 5D, and we take that down into earth and we really root it down in our fourth house, in our sense of safety, in our sense of security, and we birth it out in Aries season, which is our fifth house, which I'm excited about. I'm in Aries, if you didn't know. Let me know, for anybody who's a Sagittarius rising, what are your other sun and moon, and if you want to talk about your Mercury, Mars, and Venus, like what are your other signs? I'm just curious. Okay, so I am pulling from the Celestial Bodies deck, which is I'm obsessed with. I interviewed the astrologer who did the descriptions of the astrology for this deck, but I'm like obsessed with this deck. So I decided to debut her on today's new moon in Pisces video. Okay, so let's ask Spirit, ancient ancestors, angels and archangels from the highest realms for the good of all involved. What do you want Sagittarius risings to know? What do you want Sagittarius risings to know? Oh, and Jupiter is our ruler, and Jupiter is currently in the fourth house. So there is some like Jupiter's cooking up something. I feel like when Jupiter moves into Aries, I think that happens in April or May. I don't remember the exact date. That's in a trine to our ascendant. So it's going to be very supportive, and Aries is a fellow fire sign. So let's see, what else? Spirit, please be clear with the messages here. There's like massive change coming for Sagittarius risings, but they're not happening yet. The new moon in Pisces is all about sitting with what is and co-creating something different. Okay. Let's see what comes out. Okay, amazing. One more. The change is going to come through our daily habits and our, oh my God, my nose is itchy. Our daily habits and our rituals. Because, ooh, and the candle just went out. Nose itchy and candle just went out. I think that's definitely a yes from Spirit. We have the sixth house here, and I love this card. Look how gorgeous it is. We have this little creature here. I don't know if you can see the owl, and an owl always to me is a symbol of knowing, of a deep knowing. It's wisdom and all these beautiful flowers. The 6th house is a Virgo house, but ours is in Taurus, and the North Node is transiting our 6th house now, which is where we need to pay attention to, where we need to increase more of. Oh, itchy nose. If you're like, what the heck are you doing? When I channel, my nose starts itching. The way in which the change will happen is when we support our 6th house activities. So our rituals, our daily habits, our health. And health doesn't just mean our body, our physical body. Of course, it's a big part of it, like what we eat, what we consume, what we drink, how the quality of our thoughts and our mind. But health is everything. The health of our relationships, the health of our finances, the health of our emotional, mental, our spiritual lives. How we give attention to each of those areas of our lives is going to help support this change. The first number was 5, and not all groups got numbers, but I find 5 is a number of change. It's a number of disruption. So wherever you have these like stagnant energies, which 6th house is a Taurus house. Taurus is a fixed earth sign. These are habits that might have been solidified and stagnant for a really long time. What does this have to do with the new moon in Pisces? So I was telling the other groups that our Pisces house is in a sextile relationship to the Taurus house. A sextile relationship is the energy of Venus. It's supportive. It gives an opportunity, but it's not like a square opposition or conjunction where it's like something needs to like change or else like it's gonna get really fucking uncomfortable. This is like a flowy energy that helps support us. So our Pisces house and our Taurus house are each supporting each other. And Jupiter is in I think it's in a wide sextile at this point to Uranus, and Uranus is trying to shake up your life. Uranus is trying to make you break free of certain habits that have been holding you back. With the South Node in Scorpio in your 12th house, yeah, you gotta let go of some shit, some self-sabotaging thought patterns and behaviors. And I say this with love and peace and love because I have things that I need to let go of too. And this is not judging, but just having awareness around this time of like, whenever you get that repeating thought, you just say, oh, it's because I'm still running on the old program. I need to keep repeating to myself because we learn through repetition to the new program that you've created for yourself. Then we have the 7th house here, which talks about partnerships in Gemini. And I think it's really interesting that the North Node was in Gemini in the 7th house. So we've had to look at our relationships. We've had to look at our one-on-one relationships and how we communicate with them. And then now in the 6th house, it's like, okay, how can we break free from old thought patterns, old relationships, old behaviors, and create new rituals and new habits that support the change, number 5, of what we're trying to create. If there are Sagittarius risings that want to create a family, that want to have a family, that want to move homes, that want to just move in general, like this would be a great new moon to plant those seeds because our ruler Jupiter is also conjunct to this new moon. I hope that helped. And I will see you in the next moon cycle, the full moon in Virgo. Bye. Hi, Scorpio rising. This new moon is happening in your 5th house. And what a beautiful house to have a new moon in Pisces. And you have Jupiter there. The 5th house is a Leo house. It's the house of children, creativity, childlike behavior, and in Pisces and with Jupiter and Neptune being there, this is a time to get creative. This is a time to play with your inner child or play with your children or just get into that childlike wonder because that energy, when you tap into that energy around this new moon, it's really going to help support you in what you're trying to co-create, what you're trying to manifest. Scorpio risings in every fixed sign, rising sign, and also if you're a sun, moon in a fixed sign, the next 18 months, as I've been saying for a couple months now, is not going to be, how do I want to word this? It's a time of profound change. It's a time of leaning into what spirit is asking you to release and asking you to call in. The North Node is in your 7th house and the South Node is in your 1st house. This is a time when I like to call Jesus takes the wheel, but if you don't believe in Jesus or that's not your religion, that's okay. Like, insert your own deity or goddess or God there. What I mean by that is, this is a time for the next 18 months when it's almost like spirit and the divine takes over the wheel, and they're like, okay, we're gonna go here and we're gonna be redirected in this way because this is more in alignment with your highest timeline. And these are the people, good or bad, difficult or easy, that are gonna help you grow in a way that you've never grown before. And as humans, it's hard to detach from good or bad, right? Challenging and easy. But that's just not how this works. Everything is meant for our highest good. I truly believe that. Of course, it's going to be difficult at times. Of course, it's going to be like, what the fuck, spirit? And of course, it's going to be, and at times though, the other flip side to that is some things will happen to you that you're just like, this could only have been orchestrated by the divine. So it is this very interesting, like, cosmic vortex that you are going to be in, which is just going to place you in a better, higher state of consciousness. And if you are a Scorpio rising and you need support at this time, I'm more than happy to share more in depth with you, because I just went through this transit myself. And any Sagittarius rising can also offer you support. But I was going to do another video, a separate video on the North Node in Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio. So make sure to watch out for that. But what I do have to say is, in the last 18 months, and if you've been watching my videos the last couple of years, I did share about how sometimes it was rough and sometimes it was like, oh, that's easy peasy. But what I do have to say is that during those 18 months, it was like a washing machine. And if you've ever seen a washing machine, like when you lift up the lid and like all of the clothes are spinning around and like it's like shaking and it's spinning around at the same time. It's like spinning around and shaking at the same time, and water and soap and everything is being like trying to clean the clothes of its dirt and grime. And that's what it felt like. It felt like I was in this cosmic washing machine where spirit was like trying to wash me away of like the energies and the people and the situations that just weren't in my highest timeline. And so a lot of people left my life. Like, there was like a couple months there in 2020, at the like tail end of 2020 specifically, where it was like an apocalypse of old friendships had just like left. And at the time it was very difficult because I didn't understand why even though I knew it was for my highest good, I didn't quite understand like why it had to be so sudden. And it was during the panorama too. So it just felt really incredibly like, okay, dang, this is happening. But energy cannot be created nor destroyed. What happened right after that was I met so many incredible people that really guided me onto the things that I'm doing now. And same thing, like I stopped doing a lot of things that I used to be doing. Like I stopped doing soul sessions and I stopped doing certain things that were just taking up so much of my time and I wasn't getting back. But at the time I was like, it made me nervous because like things were clearing out and emptying out, and then like what came in though was the book deal and writing a book and getting on other podcasts. And so like when things start clearing out, our natural reaction is to be afraid, and it's to feel like, oh my God, everything's leaving. But when you hit those moments is when you know that you're being prepped for something better to take its place. So that was a long-winded way of saying, and I didn't even have to pull out cards to channel that message for you. That was a long-winded way of saying that don't worry if things start like exiting left out of your life. Specifically with the North Node in Taurus, like you might start meeting different people, good and bad, challenging and flowing, both sides of the spectrum, to help you be more in alignment with your soul, to help you be more of who you are. So anyway, let's see what cards come out for you. Not that I even needed to channel the cards. And I actually don't need cards to channel. I just like using them because it helps me get more clear on the messages. So Spirit, what do you have to say to Scorpio risings? Please be clear. Let's do this. Let's just take a deep breath together. Inhale. And exhale. Taylor Swift is a Scorpio rising. Not that you needed to know that, but just for example. Okay. Yes. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay. So we have a Grand Cross. This is, okay, for astrology, challenging does not mean difficult. Challenging doesn't mean hard or like bad. It just means that the energies are asking for a shift and a change. So we have a Grand Cross here. And a Grand Cross in a chart is a T-square, which you have too. So you have these very, very intense aspects, these very intense energies that are asking for a change. Now we have fixed sign, which you are. You're a fixed water sign. So there has definitely been, and I can feel it in your energy actually already, that there are things that have built up. There are like mold, maybe there's a little like asbestos, maybe there's like a little bit of plaque on your teeth. These are just metaphors, obviously, but there has been some buildup that needs some cleansing, okay? Scorpio rules are like the lower half of our body, like where we poop out stuff. Taurus is our mouth. So the South Node being in your first house is all about literally pooping out all the undigested shit that you've maybe accumulated throughout the years. So if you feel called, I would, for you, in the next 18 months, doesn't have to be this Pisces new moon, but I would definitely seek like a healer of some kind, a sound healer, a Reiki practitioner. It doesn't have to be through me. It could be whoever you feel called to. Somebody to help you move this stuff out, because it's going to help you feel super, super clear about what it is that you need to focus on. But there's some energies that want to be set free. There's some energies that you first need to release in order for you to create something new, for you to release some energies that you don't have access to. I think what I'm trying to say is like you've built up like residue, you've built up some things that you've held within you, and for whatever reason it's fixed, you can't change it. I mean, you are a fixed water sign, and what you're being asked to do is to like loosen up, like loosen the energy, loosen the emotions, loosen up so that you can allow that energy to move freely. Hope this makes sense. I'm gonna pull an extra card for you just because I feel like you need extra support at this time. But I really feel like with the 5th house in Pisces, this new moon, lean into your creativity, channel that energy. And now I know why Taylor Swift came out. Taylor Swift is a Scorpio rising, but she's also a Sagittarius. She uses her old experiences, the lessons of her old experiences, and she channels and transmutes that into music. So Similarly to you, I would try to find a medium, creative medium, music, art, dancing, anything, to channel the things and the experiences that you've been through. Because if you don't, they become repressed and they get stuck in the shadow. And you have a co-ruler of Mars and Pluto. So you don't want to live in the shadow. You want to be conscious of the shadow. You want to have awareness of the shadow. But you don't want to hold that shit in. Especially like, I'm sorry I keep using the poop reference, but you know when you can't poop and it just is so uncomfortable and you feel constipated and you're like, you just want to be free, right? It's like that. Like, you want to let that go, relax your muscles, and allow yourself to feel all of the feels. So let's ask one more piece of advice for Scorpio rising. Your group was like the longest, even though this is a Pisces new moon, which is supposed to be super, and it's super imaginative and creative, which is where you're being guided to focus on. Boundaries. Where do you need to establish better boundaries? Okay, I feel like that needed to be said for some of you. Okay, Scorpio risings, have a beautiful new moon in Pisces. I will see you next month. Bye. Hello, Libra risings. Happy new moon in Pisces. This new moon is happening in your 6th house of service, rituals, daily habits, and health. And when I say health, I need to be more specific because health to some people might just mean working out in the body, but it really is in all aspects of our life. So our financial health, our relationship health, our spiritual health, mental, emotional, spiritual. And I think a lot of you Libra risings are thinking about your resources and how well you're resourced and how well money is coming in, money is going out, like the flow and the energetic exchange, because the North Node is in your 8th house and the South Node is in your 2nd house. And this is a major area of your life that you're going to be thinking about for the next 18 months. So the new moon in Pisces in your 6th house can be a great time to get into spirituality as part of your daily practice, like a meditation practice. Maybe you'll get into a new modality of healing. So if you are curious about acupuncture, or if you're curious about tapping, this is a great new moon to help support you in your daily habits and your rituals for other aspects and other areas of your life. So for most Libra risings, and also check in your natal chart, the main focuses of your life, the areas are your 4th, 5th, and 6th. Your 4th is in Capricorn, your roots in your family. So a lot of you might have felt uprooted recently, or not even recently, but for the last like 4 years since 2018. Then your 5th house of creativity and fun and romance, and then your 6th house. So these are huge areas of your life that will be in focus, that are in focus right now. So let's ask Spirit. I kept the question pretty open for all the groups. What is it that Libra rising needs to know at this time? What can you say to them that will help support them? I'm using the Celestial Bodies deck, which I'm obsessed with. And I interviewed the astrologer who wrote the astrology for this deck. It's just, the art is just so beautiful. I love it. Okay. Wow, okay. Yeah, we got Pisces as your first card. So really leaning into the Piscean energy and the higher vibrational aspects and expressions of Pisces. So art, creativity. I see 2 crystals here, 2 amethyst crystals. So if you've ever been into crystals or are curious about crystals, it's a time to be wary of using psychedelics, which I feel like I always have to say, because I do find power in using plant medicines, but with an experienced indigenous guide, somebody who really understands how these plant medicines interact with our psyche, But some of you might be called to do that during this time, this new moon in Pisces. Tap into your creativity and it will really help you and really support you. It's almost like for a lot of people, one area of our life feels really shitty and the other area of our life feels amazing. So for some of you, like, you might be really worried about money and how you're making money. And also you might have been having stuff with your family, right? Because Pluto's transiting your 4th house. But then like your work and your creativity is like on max, like amazing. So it really depends on where you are in your life and your personal planets. But I feel like the more you can focus on the good that's happening, focusing your attention on like the generative, the creative parts and what you have control over is really going to help you. Oh, because I also see here a rainbow, and rainbows always remind me of like hope, and rainbows only come out when it's like the perfect mixture of water in the air and when the sun and the light moves through the water droplets. So it's after the storm when the rainbow comes. So it's like a sign of hope for me. Another thing that I just noticed that it just dropped out of my head. I can't believe it just dropped out of my head like that. We have number 2, which is union. I think this is more about co-creating with spirit, but if you want to take this at the relationship level, like definitely like North Node Taurus, South Node Scorpio in the 2nd house, 8th house. The 2nd and 8th house axes is all about power, energetic exchange, intimacy. So it could be that as well, but I feel like it's more about co-creating with spirit. And you're ruled by Venus. So I was going to do a separate video about the Venus and Mars cycle, and also the North Node being in Taurus and the South Node being in Scorpio. But what I can say as like a little teaser to you is it's not a coincidence that we began this year with a Venus retrograde in Capricorn, and we're ending this year with a Mars retrograde in Gemini, and Venus rules the North Node. You are ruled by Venus as well. So just look at where you have Venus personally in your chart, and I think Venus will support you to attract what it is that, all the resources that you need. Again, focusing your attention on where you want to grow. And then we have a square. A square aspect is a 90-degree angle. It's a tense aspect, but that's not necessarily good or bad. It's just an aspect where something needs to be birthed, something needs to be creative, something needs to come out through. I have a lot of squares in my chart, and I find that it's really helped me to, I actually really like, obviously we have to like our charts, right? Because we're born with them. But I used to get so upset when an astrologer would look at my chart and they'd be like, oh my God, you know, you have basically all the difficult squares and oppositions that you could possibly have in a chart like I have. But what I've come to understand about this energy is that it helps give me the fire that I need to get things rolling. If I had all these trines and all these sextiles and, you know, like all these harmonious aspects, then I would just sit back and like wait for things to happen to me. But that's not the case here. You're not waiting, and you're a cardinal air sign. Like, you get shit done. You like move after things. Libra is all about harmony and balance at the level of the mind. Libras aren't necessarily like emotional beings, but they want to do right by the laws of the universe. They follow the laws of the universe, and that's why it's the Justice card in tarot. It's all about equal give and receive, equal balance. And so maybe some of you are even, you know, with the 2 in the square here, you're being asked to like revisit all of your relationships, North Node in the 8th house. Is this person giving to me as equally as I'm giving to them? Are my family members like showing up for me or holding space for me? Pluto and Capricorn in your 4th house. But I think the main message, if I could sum it all up, is to focus your attention on what you want to grow versus what you don't want to experience. My parents are getting so loud right now. They're making so much noise. So they're distracting me. So I hope that helps, Libra risings. I send you so much love. Bye. Hello, Virgo rising. This new moon is really gonna light up. Well, it obviously is gonna light up your 7th house of one-on-one partnerships. I really like this for you because I feel like with Jupiter there and Neptune there, it's, if you are in a relationship, I feel like there's going to be like a dreamy quality, a very compassionate, loving quality to your one-on-one partnerships, whether they're with your romantic partner or with your friend or business partner. But if you are single, this is a beautiful time to set your intentions on calling in your divine counterpart. I really like this energy for you, Virgo rising. I feel like, I don't know what I'm feeling, what I'm picking up. I'm just feeling like giddiness. I'm feeling like happiness. I'm feeling excitement. I'm feeling hopefulness. Let me know if you're a Virgo rising in this group, because I feel it, and it feels really nice. I really like your energy. You might have been like the only group that I like don't have a lot of words to say. Every group there was like, you know, like the messages were coming really quickly, but your group I'm just like, I like it. Okay, let's see what Spirit has to say. Spirit, please let's channel the messages for Virgo rising. Please be clear. What do you want them to know at this time? What do you want them to know at this time? What do you want them to know at this time? I feel like with Virgo risings, I don't know why I'm getting this. Hold on. Let me get the cards out first. It will really depend on your other placements. So this is a general for Virgo risings, because your sun might be in a fixed sign, or your sun might be in Sagittarius or Gemini, or like your moon, you know what I'm saying? Like, but overall, I feel like Virgo risings have been not really, like what I'm picking up is like you've kind of been working behind the scenes. You've been putting a lot of work and energy into like your future and thinking about what steps you want to take for the future and how you want your future to look. Because last year was all about Sagittarius and Gemini. This year is all about Taurus and Scorpio. And a lot of the energies, a lot of the outer planets are in Virgo. They have been in Capricorn, Aquarius, and now in Pisces and Taurus. So Virgo is like the only sign really. I mean, you have Regulus, I think at 0 degrees, which is a fixed star, but like Leo, well, Leo's a fixed sign, so that's not really the case for Leo. But for Virgo, I would say for Virgo, you've been kind of in the like, these energies haven't been impacting you as much. Sure, your opposing sign has, like you're in an opposition with Pisces, so you've been receiving some of the opposition of Jupiter and Neptune, and also this new moon, but it's almost been benefiting you because you've been able to tap more into the spirituality of these transits. And Virgos, I fucking love Virgos because you're ruled by Mercury, but you're an earth sign. So you have like the best of both worlds. Like you can think with your mind logically and ground it down to reality. The only shadow side of Virgo is analysis by paralysis and like being too hard on yourself. So if anything, the one piece of advice that's coming through for Virgo rising is to lean in more towards the compassion of Pisces and like forgive yourself. And when I say forgive yourself, like give yourself a fucking break. Not everything needs to be perfect. You can really lean on this Piscean energy, this new moon. And I think also for those of you who are in a partnership, is to be compassionate to your partner, and also your partner might not be at the same level of you, because I know my sister's a Virgo, so she expects all of us to be at this level of like detail oriented, super organized, super clean, super just like OCD. And I can relate to that because I'm a pretty intense fire sign. I have and Taurus on my ascendant. It's a fixed sign. It's a fixed star. So I understand like the intensity thing, but I know when to kick that in and when to like simmer down. So I think also if you are calling in a partnership, this is like a beautiful time to call that in. And I really, really love this for you. Okay, so let's see what Spirit has to say. Please be very clear, Spirit, with Virgo rising. Yeah, you have Taurus in your 9th house of mastership, so you might be learning something. You might be teaching something, traveling at this time, which would be really great for you. Waning crescent. So the first one we have is waning crescent, which is releasing. The waning phase of the moon is right before the new moon. 4th house. Okay. Birthing something new. Wow. Okay. A lot of cards came out for you. 11. 6. And Aquarius. Okay. Aquarius is your 6th house, and we have 6 here. So being of service, and that's like what Virgos are known for. The 6th house is a Virgo house. So being of service, tending to your rituals, tending to your health, tending to your habits, is going to help you at this time. 6 is the energy of Venus. 6 is the energy of 2022. It's the numerology of this year. It's coming together. It's harmony. And like I was feeling, I feel like what I'm really feeling is a rebirth, a birth. Maybe some of you are wanting to have a child. Look at that little baby here. 4th house is the mother energy. It's home, it's family, it's roots. And the waning crescent is right before the new moon, which is the new moon in Pisces, right? So something has to be released in order for this thing to come out. So think about that. And then 11 in numerology to me means alignment. It's a very spiritual number. When somebody has an 11 life path number, this is like, you don't come to fuck around. Like, this is serious. Some of you might be having a higher order connection with this new moon in Pisces, or you're calling in this higher order soulmate divine partnership to bring in this baby, creative project, partnership. You're creating something, but you need a partner, or you need help. You need to come together with somebody or some people to make this happen. And I think you can do this through your coworkers. Aquarius rules your 6th house. The 6th house also talks about coworkers, or like just be aware of people around you. There's people around you now who you can ask for help. Okay, Virgo risings, I hope you have a beautiful new moon in Pisces. Please let me know if that resonated with you. I'm super excited for you, and I'll see you next month. Bye. Hi, Leo risings. This new moon in Pisces is happening in your 8th house of intimacy, of shared resources, of the hidden realms. Now, what I said to you last month was in this full moon in Leo, which was happening in your 1st house, I felt like for most Leos that you were calling in a divine counterpart, because Saturn is transiting your 7th house. And this is going to be further, the energy is going to be further pushed into this new moon because your 8th house is all about intimacy. So, okay, let's say that for Leo risings, they want to call in this divine partnership. Whatever divine partnership means to you, because also it doesn't just mean romantic. It could be you're looking for a partnership for your business, or you want to strengthen the partnership that you already have. But it's going to stand the test of time. It's going to be for the long term because of Saturn. Now, the 8th house, you have Jupiter transiting there, Neptune is there, and now this new moon in Pisces. So I feel like this is a new beginning for you to be intimate, for you to be vulnerable in a different way. And for Leo risings, this might be a little uncomfortable because Leo's, there's nothing more powerful than a heart-centered Leo. I think what has been portrayed to us in leadership and in royalty and the celebrities that we see, because Leo rules like royalty and celebrity, are, and I want to challenge myself because I'm gonna look out for more heart-centered leaders and celebrities and people who are more heart-based. But I think overall we've seen the shadow side of Leo, which is narcissism, ego. It's like, look at me, but not really taking into consideration the Aquarius, the collective, what's best for the collective. And there's nothing more sexy, nothing more powerful, nothing more radiant like the sun than a heart-centered Leo who cares about people, who is so like heart chakra open. Like, I have this image of my head of like somebody with a halo around their head just being like, I'm here for the people, you know what I mean? And we need more of those leaders. Leo is a fixed fire sign. Your fire cannot be dimmed. You know who you are. And it's almost like you need to have confidence in yourself to not be validated by other people and challenging not being liked, because the Leo risings that I've met, one of their, I guess like lifetime lessons in this life is shining brightly who they are without feeling the need for validation from others. Aquarius, because Aquarius is your opposing house. So in order for you to get there, I think Pisces being in your 8th house, you know, being compassionate, dreamy, creative, vulnerable, a little mushy, a little like, you know, Pisces is a mutable water sign. You like, there's no barrier, there's no boundaries. You just like melt into the sea. So I think this is a beautiful opportunity if you choose to accept it, if you want to connect with more people, if you want to have this divine partnership or strengthen the partnerships you have. Maybe a great intention you can set for yourself is to lean more into your heart space, lean into spirituality, because the 8th house is also the occult, it's mysticism. And Pisces is all about the dreams. Maybe you're having wild dreams at this time, astral traveling, lucid dreaming, and really keep note of what your dreams are trying to tell you. So let's ask Spirit if there's any other channeled messages at this time. And I'm using the Celestial Bodies deck. Spirit, please be clear. What does Leo rising need to know? Share your feelings. The Moon card came here. The Moon in Tarot talks about something hidden, fears. What are you so afraid of, Leos? The best leaders are the most vulnerable. The best leaders are the ones who share authentically. What else do you want Leos to know? It's interesting too, because the sun rules Leo, right? So like you feel it's in your nature, it's in your like soul print, the part that you can't change, the fixed part of you, to shine, to always portray a part of you that you think people will love and that you think is acceptable. But I think the ask here from Spirit is to also show your darkness, the shadows. It doesn't mean that you show people like the ugly side of you. Like, it just means to be more vulnerable about the parts of you that you think people won't like, but ultimately make up who you are. And I think that's how you become intimate with somebody. And that's how you become softer, because, oh, itchy nose. That's a confirmation from Spirit. Oh, a lot of Leos can be a little unapproachable. First of all, they're super sexy as hell. I don't think I've ever met a Leo rising that I wasn't like, wow, you're attractive. But also this need, this like portrayal that like you don't need people, but you do. You need people just as much as anybody else. Okay, what do you want to say to Leo risings? Anything else? Okay, we have the midheaven. I love this card. It's just so gorgeous. The midheaven. And your midheaven, well, your 10th house, so you might have your midheaven in the 9th, 10th, or 11th, but when I think about the midheaven, it's the highest point of your chart, which is your legacy and how you're seen through your career. And if you don't resonate with career, like what you're going to leave behind for future generations. And it's in the 10th house. Well, if it is in the 10th house, it's in Taurus, your north node. This is going to ultimately help you in your career, you know, because Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus are in your angular houses, which are big areas of your life. So the more you can lean into this energy, oh Lord, okay, this one fell. We have Mercury, exactly, communicate what you feel, communicate your feelings. Communicate your feelings. And depending on your other like signs in your chart, some of you might be totally okay with this. Like if you have a Mercury in Gemini, or your moon is in Gemini, or something like that. Some of you might be like, easy. If you don't, and you feel like this is uncomfortable, this is an opportunity, because ultimately this Pisces new moon in your 8th house is offering you an opportunity for more intimacy, for more intimate relationships, for more in-depth relationships. Okay, Leo risings, I hope you have a great new moon. I will see you at the full moon in Virgo. Bye. Hi, Cancer rising. The Pisces new moon is happening in your 9th house of mastership, traveling. It's also the house of learning, higher learning. So some of you might be getting into spirituality. Some of you might be wanting to learn, like if you had taken like Reiki 1 and Reiki 2, maybe some of you are interested in taking Reiki 3, like mastership, or you want to go to grad school, or you want to get your master's, or you want to travel somewhere and go to an ashram, stuff like this. But it all has to do with spirituality and some kind of like higher understanding of life. And you're a Cancer rising, and you're very in tune, very intuitive. So it's already something that I feel like you're attuned to, but you want to like really help ground with some kind of like formal system of understanding or philosophy or some kind of learning. So let's see what Spirit has to say about this new moon. And you know, with Jupiter being there, it is a Jupiterian house because it's a house that's ruled by Sagittarius. I think it's very lucky, to be honest with you, because this house is in a trine relationship to your first. So this will help you build confidence in yourself, and it'll help you understand more deeply about, yeah, yourself. Okay. Whew. Spirit, please be clear in your messages. What do Cancer risings have to know for this new moon in Pisces? I'm using the Celestial Bodies deck, which I love. Okay, what do you want? Oh, okay. First of all, You are a cardinal water sign. You lead with your emotions. That's obvious. Cardinal also is making me think like for this new moon in Pisces, it's a new moon. So it's where we set our intentions. There's somewhere you want to go, Cancer risings, because the 9th house is a house of travel as well, foreign travel. And it's at a very high point of our chart. This is a place where you want to travel to, either metaphorically or in reality, that you might not actually necessarily have been before, but this is a start. You want to start this journey. Second house. Second house is a Taurus house. It's all about your self-worth, your values, your confidence. So I think like whatever it is that you're doing, whatever steps that you're taking will help you give yourself a more sense of confidence, a sense of purpose, a sense of, yeah, like this is why I'm here. This is what I'm doing. Then we have a trine. Like I was saying, your Cancer house, your first house is in a trine to your 9th house. So whatever this is can be very supportive of your identity, of how you move through this world, of how you feel about yourself. It feels like a significant new beginning. I mean, all of the Capricorn houses were in your opposite sign. So I'm sure it reflected back to you a lot of your own shit, right? A lot of your own stuff that you had to change, that you had to start moving towards. And then we have Taurus, and Taurus is your 11th house. The North Node's there right now. And the 11th house is the community, the collective, your long-term goals and wishes. So again, you want to do something. The second house is also naturally ruled by Taurus. Please let me know what this is, by the way, because I'm getting a lot of messages. Then we have 8. 8 is the number of power. 8 is the number of abundance. And we have 1. So this is a lot about yourself and your own power, your own inner power, your own authority. Maybe some Cancer risings felt like you were at the beck and call of like your parents or school or your partner. And then something happened because Pluto is there in your 7th house of one-on-one partnerships. And you were like, fuck that. You were like, I'm a Cancer rising. I'm ruled by the moon. Like I can go with my emotions. I can find situations and people and work and jobs and things that truly understand what it means to be an empath, have really solid boundaries and really have people see me for who I am. And this is like, I feel very significant because of all of the major energies that I'm seeing here. But if I could sum this energy up, it's wherever you're thinking about studying, whatever you're thinking about going to, like a retreat center, an ashram, any spiritual practice, the answer is do it. Yes, yes. Because it's going to help support whatever change that you're initiating. That was like very quick and simple, very clear. So I hope that resonated with you, Cancer rising, and I will see you at the full moon in Virgo. Bye. Hi, Gemini rising. Pisces is happening. This Pisces new moon is happening in your 10th house of career. Wow, what a beautiful place to have a new moon in Pisces. First of all, what a great place to have Pisces, because Pisces is all about expansion. It's all about the dream realm. It's all about spirituality. It's all about creativity, and it's just such an expansive energy. You have Jupiter there, you have Neptune there, you have the new moon there, and it's like a beautiful new beginning for your career. The 10th house is the highest point of our chart, and it's an energy where it's not necessarily something that we get to experience in this lifetime either. I don't say that for everybody because the legacy that we leave behind is something that our future generations get to experience, but it's something that we start in this lifetime. So some of you might be creating like significant art or building companies or creating like music or some kind of new spiritual modality that you start but will be enjoyed by many, many people in the years to come. I think a lot about artists and how so many artists didn't actually gain fame and never got to experience like the money that is being exchanged for these paintings. Like I know one example is Van Gogh. Some of his paintings get sold for like hundreds of millions of dollars, but he never experienced that in this lifetime because all of those paintings were sold posthumously. So like after he passed away. So it's something like that. Something like you create just because you love it. You create because it sets your soul on fire, and you know that one day down the line that people get to enjoy this beautiful art. And I feel like it's something that people have not seen before. Your 9th house is an Aquarius, so it's like, and you're a Gemini rising, so like you're a very like novice thinker. You think different things, not like old shit. So I feel like it's something new that we have not experienced before in the realm of spirituality, art, all of those things that I just named. So let's ask Spirit, is there anything else you want Gemini risings to know? Ooh, wow, I don't think that was for you. Is there anything else that you want Gemini risings to know? Please be clear, Spirit. I just heard the word clarity. So if you have been feeling a little foggy lately, do whatever it takes to ground your energy, because the ideal will come through when you are more grounded, because your 4th house is in Virgo, and that's where the full moon is happening, because we have full moon here. So you plant the seed in the Pisces new moon, but you'll see what you need to do at this full moon in Virgo, because it's at the bottom of your chart. It's where your root is, and it's in Virgo. So it's like Earth. It's also ruled by Mercury, which you both co-rule Mercury. So you plant the seed on this new moon in Pisces, but then the actual idea might come through on the full moon in Virgo, which is just, I think it's March 18th that happens. Capricorn. Yeah, this is 10th house is Capricorn energy. It's something that, if you look here, it's like this stairs up. Something that will take time. It's something that you won't necessarily get to like, and some of you, if you hear that, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? But it's something that obviously you're gonna enjoy the fruits of. You're gonna enjoy it because you love it, and you enjoy it because this is something that you just love doing, and it doesn't really matter if there's like an end point to it. This is something that will stand the test of time. And I think in the last 18 months with the North Node transiting your 1st house, a lot of Geminis had to work with energy that they were not used to. Geminis are used to like surface level conversations, curiosity, going from one thing to another, but I think you're being asked to actually focus on one thing for the long term, like more Earth energy. And depending on how you feel about that, Neptune, again, Neptune is transiting your 10th house, moving into some kind of, it's coming through. Okay. So Pisces is your feet. Pisces rules your feet, right? Having your head in the clouds with Neptune in Pisces, Jupiter, Pisces, this new moon in Pisces, having that like open crown chakra, but then planting your feet firmly to the ground through Virgo in your 4th house, like rootedness, is gonna allow you to have clarity for what this thing is. And for some of you, you might know already. For some of you already have this idea, but you're like, should I go with that or should I go with that? This is where the clarity will help you, and also have discernment, because Geminis are ruled by the twins. Decision making might be a challenge sometimes, but this is you being asked to just make a decision and like go with it and like really ride the Capricorn wave. I hope this helped. Let me know down in the comments, Gemini rising, how that resonated with you. And I will see you at the full moon in Virgo. And I really want you to let me know like what this is. Okay, bye. Hi Taurus rising. This new moon in Pisces is happening in your 11th house. The 11th house is all about groups, friends, the collective, big community. It's all about also long-term goals and wishes. This is a beautiful sign and place to have Pisces, and also a new moon in Pisces, and Jupiter and Neptune are also transiting that house. Something that I've been saying since last year is the North Node is moving through Taurus. And I think I might have said this like a month ago maybe, where people are generally going to be more attracted to Taurus energy because collectively that's where we're all pulled towards. So you're going to have a lot of people, and I said this to Scorpio rising, good and bad, challenging and easy. There's no such thing as good and bad, but you know what I mean. I'm trying to make you understand what I'm trying to say. You're gonna get different energies and polarities to help you be more in alignment with who you are. And sometimes we need Plutonian and Saturnian energies to help us see that. But sometimes we need Jupiterian Venus energies to help us see that. You know what I mean? Like, to help us grow, we need other people. And sometimes we need other people to help us heal as well. So you're going to have a lot of people coming in. And I think this new moon in Pisces is that. It's like opening up yourself to different energies and people and groups to help you with this process of knowing who you are at a deeper level. And I think that's beautiful. You are ruled by Venus. And I think that a lot of people could use a lot more joy and pleasure at this time, especially because of the last 3 years of being in a pandemonium. Good food, good wine if you drink, beautiful music, and just like healing energy. Oh. So let's see what spirit, and it was 222 when I said that. Let's see what spirit has to say to you, Taurus rising. Please be clear, spirit. What do you have to say about Taurus rising and this new moon in Pisces? Please be clear. This is the Celestial Bodies deck, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. And I've been saying that in every group. I'm obsessed. Oh my God. Okay. We have fixed. Okay, that is you. And I say that with peace and love. Taurus is a fixed earth sign. So there's something, there's like this energy coming through for all of the fixed signs where this is coming through. It's like, you want to hold on. You're like, no, I don't want to change. You're like, no. No, nobody willingly wants to like go through the transformation process. It's like, it sounds so much nicer than it is, but when you go through it, it's really, it's a moment. So I understand what you're saying. Full moon. But a chapter is ending, Taurus risings. A chapter is ending and you know it. That's the thing. It's like a full moon happens when the sun is opposing the moon, and the moon represents our like subconscious and our fears and things that we keep hidden. So when the sun shines on it, you're like, I see it. And you see it. You know what you have to change. You do. Old thought patterns, old behaviors. But this has everything to do with yourself, because you are a fixed a fixed earth sign. And out of all of the fixed energies, you are like the last one that wants to change, because you're like, I'm building my roots down. I don't want to move. And I really admire a lot of energies that are like that. But at the same time, what you are becoming and what is being asked of you is going to ask of you to shed the old version of yourself. So you're moving into Taurus rising 2.0, and feminine energy. Yes. Being receptive, being able to release, being able to go into the more subtle realms, which Pisces energy can help you with. Feminine energy is so I grew up in America. I'm from New York, and I can say confidently that most of us are used to the masculine expression, the archetype, which is all about doing, which is all about going after, which is all about taking action. Not many of us are used to this feminine energy, which is interesting because Taurus to me is a feminine energy. It's very luxurious, it's very beautiful, it's very like sensual, but Taurus is also the bull. It's very stubborn. It's very like, we gotta push through even though it's not working. And I think what this is asking you is to be in the more receptive mode, to be in the dream realm, to let go, to release. Pisces rules the 12th house, which is about release, letting go. So is the full moon, actually. Listen, I'm not telling you something that you don't know, and also I'm not telling you something, I'm not forcing you to do something that you don't feel comfortable with. But I have this inkling that a lot of fixed signs, specifically Taurus and Scorpio, because the North Node is in Taurus and the South Node is in Scorpio, that you're being called to be more mutable, to change. So, and we all do that at our own time. We all do that at our own time. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think you need to breathe more, because I'm all of a sudden like I'm feeling contracted. Taurus rules the throat, so speak out more, open up your throat chakra. Singing has helped me do that. So I hope this helps, Taurus rising, and I will see you at the full moon in Virgo. Bye! Last but certainly not least, Aries rising. Pisces new moon is happening on your 12th house. People are like texting me right now, and I'm like, I'm trying to do this reading. So the 12th house is all about release. It's all about the hidden realms. It's the dream realm. So some of you Aries risings might be having some magnificent dreams. Keep a dream journal and see what it's trying to say. See what your subconscious is trying to say. You might also be called to be releasing a lot of things that no longer serve you. Something that's been hidden. Something that doesn't, self-sabotaging behaviors. So let's see for Aries rising. Spirit, please be clear on your messages for Aries rising. What do you want them to know at this time? Whoa, that came out very new moon, exactly. And Pisces, oh my God. Spirit's like, exactly, yes. Let's get one more card. I forgot the other group that got the Pisces card. I think you're the only group that got the new moon card, but this is a new beginning, setting your intentions. The 12th house is like a house too where maybe some of you, if you have like a sun, if you're a Pisces sun, and your sun is in your 12th house. I know a lot of writers have their sun in the 12th house. It's like you don't necessarily want to be seen. You want to kind of be in the background, but maybe you want to be more in the, like, maybe you want to be more seen, because maybe your work entails you to do that, or you just feel like it's time. It is time. And then we got Sagittarius here. Yeah, so you have two signs that are ruled by Jupiter. Oh, my nose is itchy. So some kind of expansion. Sagittarius rules your 9th house of traveling, of higher learning, of teaching. It's like the guru house, right? The 12th house of Pisces is all about spirituality. It's the house of everything that I said in the beginning, the dream realm, but it's also about letting go. Jupiter might be important transit for you because you have two signs here that came out with Jupiter, and Jupiter is the planet of expansion and opportunity. Something new is occurring. An Aries season might actually be very, very significant for you. So I know we're talking about the new moon in Pisces, but I think what Spirit is being asked of you is to release what no longer serves you. Release whatever it is that you need to release. Because what I love about this Pisces card is this rainbow, and rainbows happen at a specific time after a storm where it's like a sign of hope, and you're moving through this portal, right? But you have to have the belief that you can get there. Sagittarius is also about a belief. It's also a very spiritual sign. Sagittarius happens after Scorpio season, when you've gone through the underworld and you realize like, oh shit, like these are my shadows. And then Sagittarius comes up like the Temperance card, the angel that guides us. The reason why I say, I know this is the Pisces new moon, but the Pisces new moon, might you be setting intentions for some kind of spiritual understanding, connection to spirituality. And then the new moon in Aries in your 1st house is going to be very, very transformative to you. So between, I would say, the new moon in Pisces, which is March 2nd, to the new moon in Aries. Let me see when that is actually. New moon in Aries is March 31st at 11 degrees of Aries. So between that time period, it's a period of about like a month. I would definitely meditate on Jupiter, meditate on Pisces and Sagittarius, wherever you, whatever placements you personally have in those signs. Also, I'm getting this energy of, or this message of, it's time to start sharing. It's time to start getting out of the 12th house. Like whatever you need to do to release limiting beliefs and start sharing, being the teacher, Sagittarius. Like if that's what you're intending, it's the time to release whatever's holding you back from that. Okay, Aries rising. I'm very excited for you because I think Aries season is going to be very, obviously it's your season, so it's going to be very significant for you. But anyway, I hope you have a great new moon, and I will see you at the full moon in Virgo.